Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is going to work our muscle called the tibialis posterior. So the tibialis posterior and the tibialis anterior both do that inversion, that's turning that feet in and returning that arch height. So the tibialis posterior actually attaches to this bone here, which is called the navicular, and that's really kind of acts as the keystone of that medial arch of the foot. So if that muscle is not weak, is weak and not strong enough, it's not going to be able to again pull that that navicular bone upwards and backwards and keep that position. Again, it will just start to kind of slack. So again, we really need those tibialis posterior muscles to be fired up and active in order to maintain that arch height. So again, where the tibialis anterior does dorsiflexion, pulls the feet up, the tibialis posterior does plantar flexion, which is essentially coming up onto the forefoot. Again, but they both invert, they both do that same inversion role. So what we're going to do for this one is similar to what we did for tibialis anterior, but just kind of like the opposite. So we're going to use one of these fit loops to get the most out of this. I'm just going to put this band just around those big bony bumps on the side of your ankles. That's your lateral malleolar. So these big, thick bony bumps here that you'll feel just on the side of the ankle. You're going to put the band right around them. I'm just going to turn my back to you guys, so just excuse me. I'm going to turn around and I'm just going to show you this technique. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that the 4/5 toe is pointing forward. So we want to be in this position here, just so we're not turned out. So if we want to really get that tibialis posterior, we need to have our feet just turned in slightly, so that almost like the 5th toe is pointing forward. So I'm just going to turn my back to you guys. I'm just going to show you what we're going to be doing. So again, I'm going to come up against the wall, have my 5th toe pointing forward, and what I want to do is I want to just lift my toes up slightly, okay? So kind of like the opposite of what we were doing last time. So the toes are going to be up, and I'm going to drive up, I'm going to push up onto the balls of my feet. I'm going to hold it there. I'm going to make sure that the band is nice and taut, it's not slack. And I'm going to slowly come back down. So a slightly different tempo on this one. Okay, we're going to come up for come up for 1. We're going to hold for 2 seconds, and we're actually going to come down for 4 seconds. Okay, so we're going to come up for 1, hold for 2, and down for 4 seconds. Okay. So really what I'm focusing on here, what I really want to maintain is keeping that 4/5 toe pointing forward. What we don't want is as we come down, the feet start to turn out, which is quite common. That's what's they're likely going to want to do. So we're going to have to really work hard to maintain that position. So when we're coming down, we're keeping that position. And the band's helpful in this way, kind of gives us a bit of a tactile cue, because if our feet are turning out, that band will start to slacken. So if you feel that band start to slacken, again, we just want to get back into that position, keep that band nice and taut. Okay, so we're coming up, and again, we're going to come down for 4 seconds. So the 4-second down is really going to work on that control. Which again, if you're a runner, whenever we're running, we're landing. Again, we get that nice smooth control. We're not falling into that pronated position really quickly. Okay. We need some pronation. That's not that pronation is a bad thing. We definitely need some of it. We just don't want too much of it. So we want to have those inverts nice and strong, so they resist that excessive eversion. And in that way, if we are running, or if you're involved in any sports which require jumping, so like netball or basketball, you want to be able to land softly, maintain that arch height, which is going to help to absorb those forces coming from the ground, so we don't get excessive, uneven loading through the foot, through the ankle, which is then going to translate to the knee, the hip, and the low back. We want to be able to absorb those forces nice and smoothly, as we should do. So there you guys go. That's the tibialis posterior activation. So along with the tibialis anterior activation, that's going to do a really good job at maintaining that arch height, bringing back that optimal range of motion and strength at the ankle, and again, giving us that improved overall function. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.